and I'd like to call this regular meeting of January 12th, 2022 to order. And we'd like to start by doing that Pledge of Allegiance. Thanks, ma'am. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Moving on to public comments on non-agenda items. Madam Secretary, does anyone wish to speak?
If you would like to comment on the item, on a non-agenda item, please fill out a request form to speak and turn it in to me. You will have 3 minutes to speak. If there's anyone that wishes to speak, there is no one that wishes to speak.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Moving on to the business calendar and the public hearing. I will now review the process for public hearing so that everyone knows what to expect. Staff will present a presentation and answer questions. This will include the public hearing will officially open. The applicant will be given the opportunity to speak, limited to 15 minutes. Members of the public, as was referenced, will be given the opportunity to comment, limited to 3 minutes. The applicant will be given the opportunity to respond to comments made by the public, also limited to 5 minutes. Then the public hearing will be closed. Further discussion may take place with formal action taken to approve, conditionally approve, deny, or continue review of the application. Please consider the following suggestions when organizing your comments. Please state your name and address, strictly voluntary. State whether you support, oppose, or are neutral to the proposal. Your statement should include all pertinent facts within your knowledge. Please avoid gossip, emotion, or repetition. A clear, concise, and non-repetitive argument is most effective and appreciated. So with that, this is the time and place for the public hearing of item number 1, tentative parcel map number 2021-04 for 1513 West Civic Center Drive. Please note, decision on this matter is final unless appealed within 10 calendar days. Staff will now provide a brief presentation.
Thank you. Good morning. This is a request for a tentative parcel map to create 4 new lots at 1513 West Civic Center Drive. This is tentative parcel map number 2021-04, county map number 2021-144. Staff is recommending approval of this tentative parcel map as conditioned. Just for some background, the applicant has submitted a tentative parcel map request to subdivide an existing parcel that's 0.84 acres in size to create 4 new lots for residential purposes. Pursuant to the Subdivision Map Act and Santa Ana Municipal Code Chapter 34, this requires approval of the zoning administrator this morning. So the property currently contains 3 separate structures and a large empty area. The project would subdivide the property into 4 parcels, and each parcel would then be ultimately developed with single-family homes as well as ADUs or accessory dwelling units. Lot 1 would modify an existing duplex to demolish 2 attached single-car garages and to construct a new detached accessory dwelling unit and a new detached 2-car garage to meet the all-one single-family residence development standards for parking. Lot 2, which currently has a craftsman single-family residence and detached garage, would be altered. The single-family home would be altered to shorten the porch to provide the required 5-foot setback to meet zoning code requirements. And there would also be a attached junior accessory dwelling unit and a detached ADU accessory dwelling unit constructed in the craftsman style to match the existing home. Lots 3 and 4 would include completely new construction This is the large part that's currently vacant on the lot. Both lots would be developed with 2-story single-family homes with attached junior accessory dwelling units and attached 2-car garages. Each lot would also be proposed to have an accessory dwelling unit, each with an attached 1-car garage. Moving on, staff has analyzed the request and found that it meets the city's zoning code requirements for development of single-family residences with ADUs. Each lot would have at least 50 feet of street frontage, which is a requirement in the single-family residence zone. And each lot would have at least 6,000 square feet in size. The lot sizes would range anywhere from about 8,200 square feet to just over 11,700 square feet. In addition, each lot would meet all the setback requirements and height requirements, coverage requirements, and other zoning code development standards applicable for properties in the single-family residential zoning district. For background, the site was constructed in 1925 with the single-family home, the Craftsman style single-family home that I described earlier. The detached 3-car garage was constructed about 12 years later in 1937. The duplex was then constructed in 1966, and since then there have been no major permits pulled for any major work on the property. The subject application was then submitted in February 2021 and underwent the city's development review process, which was finally approved in November of 2021, and subsequently the applicant then provided the tentative parcel map application. So following that, the city did analyze the request and found overall that the project meets the intent and the findings required for subdivision for a parcel map, including consistency with the general plan, not being injurious to any sort of environmental or creating environmental damage or substantially affecting any fish or wildlife habitat, and finding that the site is suitable for this type of development, given that it either meets or exceeds the city's development requirements for this type of project. And in addition, the project was notified to the community in accordance with all appropriate procedures and requirements of the San Diego Municipal Code. And with all that, the city staff is recommending approval of the tentative parcel map as conditioned. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that the zoning administrator might have.
Thank you, Ali, for your presentation. I have one question that I wanted to affirm, and that is, as part of this approval, the review of the single-family residential and accessory dwelling units was only conceptual in nature. And just to confirm that if this were to be approved, that the separate applications need to be submitted for each of the single-family residential / ADU projects. Could you clarify that and confirm?
Thank you. Yes, that's more or less correct. Anytime a parcel map is submitted to the city does ask for site plan, floor plans, elevations to ensure that the intended project will meet the city's development standards and not ultimately have to come back for, let's say, a variance or a minor exception or anything. But ultimately, if the applicant chooses to move forward with developing each parcel, then an individual new single-family residence and or ADU application needs to be submitted.
Thank you, Ali. And then the other question is that in the staff report narrative, it speaks in terms of a block wall being constructed in conjunction with the future residential development. Could you clarify that for us, please?
Yes, thank you. And then I'm sorry, just for specifics, was there a certain page number on that report?
On page 4, on the second paragraph, towards the bottom, it says to ensure the construction, let's see, it says further conditions of approval have been included to ensure the site's landscaping will be in compliance with residential standards and to ensure that construction of new block walls around the perimeter of the new parcels. If you could clarify that.
Thank you. Yes, we can always have the applicant confirm, but as with any subdivision map, new block walls are required around each parcel.
Thank you for that. With that, I would ask the Madam Secretary if we have any written communications.
We had three written comments that were distributed online.
So having glanced at those, one was from a Michael Reyes, one was from a Lucy Lozano, and the last one was from a Francisco Diaz. And it appears that each of them had, two of them had some concerns with the project, and one just spoke in terms of the notification, which was then remedied. So with that, the public hearing is now open. And would the applicant like to take a moment to speak on the matter and introduce yourself?
Yes, good morning. Thank you for having this meeting with us. Eddie Luna is our business partner on this project. Myself, Saul Delgado, as the developer, and we are here located at 190 West 9th Street, 190 West 3rd Street in Santa Ana. That's where we have our main office, and we do a lot of work here in the city. We have done all the projects on Bristol Street, where you guys sold us the properties, and I believe you guys are very, very happy with our work, with the styles, with the colors, with just transforming all that area. That area was full of homeless people. The lots were filthy, dirty. They were huge trash cans that now are turned into beautiful homes. They also produce now taxes, revenue for the city. And that's what we're trying to do here also. We do quality projects. We have a history with the city of turning the worst houses on the block into the best houses on the block. And that turns into a domino effect with all the neighbors. Because once they start seeing that their values of their homes are going up, that motivates them to start fixing up their properties. And it works the other way around too. If somebody lets their house go, people start letting their houses go. If people start fixing up their properties, then it motivates the people to start fixing their property, and it's a win-win situation for the city and for us. So I guarantee you that we will be doing everything that's on the plans. We already submitted for the plans. We are already in engineering. Staff has pre-approved our building projects. So I think it's going to be a win-win for the city and for ourselves as the developers. So we have met all the guidelines, all the setbacks, all the conditions, and we would like to start working ASAP. We really would love to start working on it. So if you have any other questions, we're here to respond to them. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. So you alluded to that you have reviewed all the conditions of approval.
Yes.
And I would offer that I would again like to clarify the block wall comment in the staff report and see if that should be actually included as a condition.
Can I clarify something regarding the block wall? There is a block wall on, well, there is already existing block walls because we already have started building them. And you don't need a permit for anything under six feet. Oh, 7, excuse me, yes, you're correct. So the block walls have been fixed and have been raised. We already have them basically 99% finished. There's one on lot 1. We already have a, it's not a block wall, it's a wooden wall. The reason why we are going to try to keep that wall the way it is because it's new. And we would be affecting the neighbor on the left-hand side because her driveway is very, very narrow. And if we do the block wall, it's going to affect her. It's not affecting us, but it's going to affect the neighbor. We just want to be respectful to what was pre-existing. These houses were made without meeting all the setbacks and all the codes and everything. So it's gonna affect her to get her vehicle in. So we would like, just on one of the lots, one wall, just keep it, as existing. It's a brand new, one really nice wall. I don't see no reason why to take away her parking, because we will be taking away her parking if we do
She
a
won't
wall.
have any access to her garage.
Yes,
It's gonna
she
be
will.
blocked.
Yeah.
Cars are not gonna be able to go in and out.
Because we would have to do it on the property line. If we're gonna do the expense of doing the block wall, we're gonna have to do it on the property line, and that's gonna affect her. She does not have room to go into her garage. So, I mean, we could do it, but you guys are gonna affect a previous owner.
Staff, could you maybe help clarify the issue here? Because generally, you have the opportunity of putting a block wall solely on your property line. So whatever existing conditions there are on the adjacent property, in theory, wouldn't be impacted, but if maybe staff could help clarify the situation. Thanks.
Sure, just to the applicant, you had mentioned between which lot numbers?
It's gonna be lot 1 and the other house was where the duplex is located on the left-hand side. That house will not have access to their garage. And we're gonna be respectful with neighbors.
So which one?
One and two.
It would be between lot 1 and the neighbor. So it would be on the borderline of our property.
Okay, between parcel one and the property.
And those are the two existing structures.
Yes, those are already pre-existing. The neighbor's house was built, I believe, in 1925.
Or-
The duplex was built in 1966, and they did not take into consideration the setbacks for a vehicle to get in. And she has her garage in the back. I want to clarify that her garage is in the rear, so she will not have access to her garage.
This is the garage. So it's like a 7.5 foot wide driveway.
Mhm. So I guess, so again, as a zoning administrator, I have the opportunity to read the staff report and the material provided. So I think in this particular case, there's a little conflict in, or inconsistency in what's mentioned in the staff report. So I would need staff to give me some more analysis on why we requested block walls and why the circumstances have changed to where we might want to acquiesce for some reason on this particular.
Can I respond to that?
Let staff, if it would, for a moment, unless you'd rather the applicant speak first.
I'll give it an answer and then we can have the applicant clarify again. So definitely understand the applicant's perspective on affecting the neighboring houses, not on their property, because the existing property driveway is very narrow.
Yes, sir.
It appears that based on the project that there will be a 16-foot setback between the structure on parcel one and the wood fence right now.
Correct.
So the reason that the condition was written such that there be a block wall there is that there appears to be enough room to do so if the footing of the block wall was entirely on your property.
And we could
and
do that.
Not straddle the property line.
And we could do that, but here's the issue, and let me clarify why we proposed it like that, because we want to be with block walls all around us. But once we go out on the field, and there was trees there were some trees that we didn't know who was the owner, where was the property line exactly. Once you go out on the field and you start getting surveyors and marks and monuments set up, we found out that we would be affecting her. And we didn't want to do that. So we could do the block wall if it's mandatory, no problem. But we will be affecting somebody that's been living there for 40, 50 years, and she's not going to have access to her garage. We can do it, but we will be affecting her. It all depends what you guys want to do.
So again, I would just repeat, I think what I've heard, and that is that in theory, you would not impact the adjacent neighbor if you put the block wall on your property. But as just, I'm looking at the aerial here, it would require taking down what looks like a new fence.
Mhm.
I guess I would, And at some point too, yeah, so you could do it. It would just be the investment of that wood fence would be put away. And then you'd be investing and you'd be putting the block wall on your property, which would cost you another 6 inches or whatever.
Exactly. Those 6 inches are crucial for her.
No. The 6 inches would not be on her property at all. It'd be on your property. So fences, you can straddle the property line, but in these kind of situations, you would probably put all of it on your property line to not impact her. But she, of course, is not going to agree to.
Here's the thing, if we are gonna do the expense, we're gonna go to the property line as the law establishes. We're doing it on our property line. If we go to our property line, she's gonna get affected. Right now, the wall is encroaching on our side by a foot, let's say a foot. If we go to the property line and we make the 6 inches wide, it's gonna affect her, not us. Because we, of course, we would, if we're gonna do the expense, we're gonna go to the property line. So what you're asking me is to give up a foot of our property to accommodate her, is that what you're asking?
Well, first of all, I'm asking for clarification, assuming that everyone read the staff report. It says block wall. So the fact that this is kind of a late clarification that's coming up. So really, for starters, we're looking to clarify. This said everything would be blocked. And the new information is that there's some constraints here that you're asking for a change. I'll call it a change. So again, I would go back to staff and
Well, we don't want this to delay our process. If it has to be a block wall, we'll just do the block wall. We don't want this to delay it more. We've been delayed. And just for the record, we're paying over $15,000 a month in mortgage there on a vacant lot on a property that's not being used. We need to get this thing done, approved. So if you want us to affect the neighbor, no problem, we'll affect the neighbor.
so I think we can add, again, in the conditions, we can complement the staff report and add as a condition that the block walls will be provided with a caveat unless there's some overriding circumstances, and then we can work with you on that particular.
We're willing to work with you guys as we go along, no problem. And if you guys see that there's no need for just one of the block walls, we're more than happy to do it. We want to work with the city. So we can leave that question open if you like.
What I can provide as clarification is condition number 9 talks about block walls. Says applicant must construct a minimum 6-foot high perimeter block wall for the side and rear property lines for the proposed parcels. But if to the applicant's best knowledge that this is the only segment that has a constraint and they're amenable to building block walls on all other sides and portions of the subdivision, then maybe this would be an opportunity for the zoning administrator to just add the caveat for this specific instance in condition number 9, and then that way the remainder of the block walls is clear moving forward. There's no sort of guessing game moving forward.
So again, could you repeat the recommendation for the staff's recommendation for adjustment on the condition?
Sure. So condition number 9 currently states applicant must construct a minimum 6-foot high perimeter block wall for the side and rear property lines for the proposed parcels. We could modify the condition to effectively call out a caveat for that one instance. I would just need a moment to sort of wordsmith
Okay,
it.
so why don't we come back to
Yeah,
that?
thank you.
Very good. And I do have some other recommendations for adjustments to the conditions, minor adjustments to the conditions. Would you like me to read them now or wait until after we have the benefit of the any other public comments? All right,
She doesn't want to speak, so you're good.
okay.
And there's no other comments to read out.
So for the Madam Secretary, we don't have anyone that would like to speak in public comments. I would like to acknowledge the comments that were submitted that there are some concerns about parking and impacts to the community. So, obviously we have parking issues to contend with throughout the city, but you are meeting the standards And so just wanted to acknowledge that.
Can I add something? These are extra large lots, you know, your minimum is 6,000 square feet. We have between, I believe, 8,500 to 11,000, almost 12,000. So these are extra large lots. So there's gonna be plenty of parking on each one of the lots. So I don't think for us, we're gonna bring in more parking to the street. I think
Because of the long driveways, you have that unique
Yes.
opportunity.
we're gonna have plenty of parking on each one of the lots because they're extra large lots. They're not a typical 6,000 square foot lot, it's much bigger.
Thank
So
you.
I don't think that's gonna be a problem, and I think the neighbors will be very happy with that.
So with that, I'd like to read into the record some adjustments to the resolution and the conditions. So on the resolution, I'd like to ask that we add in all the addresses, the 4 different addresses are referenced. And that we change the date on section 1, item 6 to read January 12th, 2022. And then as it relates to the conditions, just the minor things, condition 1, I'd like to adjust the terminology for our new terminology, which is must conform with development project review versus site plan review. And then on item number 2, where it says any amendment to this tentative parcel map, including modifications to the approved materials, finishes, architecture, I'd like those detailed items be moved down to condition number 7. And condition number 7, the last sentence says each residence must conform to the applicable development and design standards for single-family residence, including but not limited to, and that's where those comments of materials, finishes, architecture would be included there and removed from the second condition, because the parcel map technically is not blessing any type of materials or finish or architecture. And again, in number 2, the last part of the sentence, at this time, staff will determine if administrative relief is available or if the development project review, again, it's just changing out the words from site plan review to development project review, must be amended. Another minor one on number 3 is we ask for 2 copies of the recorded final parcel map. And with that, if we could eliminate the word building division. So those 2 copies go to planning, strike building division, and then public works.
Straight public works also?
No, strike building division. So there's 2 copies, one going to planning division and one going to public works.
Okay.
And then going back to the last condition, let's see, we just wanted to clarify, the second sentence says each residence, as I mentioned earlier, must conform. Let me go back here. The first sentence talks in terms of each proposed residence must submit separate sets of plans for each single family residence. I'd like to add in the words and or accessory dwelling unit to the city for review and approval. And then again, the last sentence, design standards for single family residences and accessory dwelling units, including, so basically I'm adding in the word along with single family residence, accessory dwelling units. And then the last 2 conditions, Ellie, would you mind 8 and 9 clarifying how those read, or might read?
So item 8 was about landscape plans.
Go ahead, Ellie.
I'm sorry, condition number 8 was out about landscape plans, but were we discussing that at all? Number 9 was about the block wall.
Could you read out the landscape plan one to see if it's still applicable?
Prior to building permit issuance of the proposed new single-family residences, the applicant will submit a formal landscape plan for staff review. If the zoning administrator wishes, that can be clarified to say, we'll submit a formal landscape plan for each property for review.
And I believe that's part of our standard practice for
Right.
our submittal, so it's just kind of a reminder,
Correct.
right? And if you could go back to the one regarding block wall and maybe some suggested language.
Absolutely. So that one, based on the conversation with the applicant, would be rewritten to read, applicant must construct a minimum 6-foot high perimeter block wall for the side and rear property lines for each of the proposed parcels, comma, except between parcel 1 and the existing parcel to the west, between Civic Center Drive, extending north until the first edge of the residence's garage. So that would sort of memorialize the existing wood fence on that stretch where it's narrow, but then require a block wall for the remainder of that stretch. Unless the zoning administrator wishes to allow a wood fence for the entire stretch.
Are you clear on the proposal?
Yeah, well, I mean, the wall is already there, the wooden wall, I don't see any, I mean,
Let's clarify if we could be where the wood wall extends presently. I can see in the aerial it goes from the front of the house, and I can't quite tell how far back it goes. Can someone clarify that?
just as a reminder, we have 2 driveways side by side. So we do need to have at least 3 feet visibility in case somebody's backing out. You know, there's a little kid running through the sidewalk. We can't do a block wall there. So the fence, my proposal is to leave the fence the way it is. It's a brand new fence from the front to the back.
So that's the clarification I was looking for. It goes from the front of the house for the property to the west, all the way back to the rear property line.
Yes, and that's leaving the 20, I believe 20-foot setback for, you know, we're
Right.
not allowed to do anything
Right.
because somebody,
That's, yeah, so it's the back of the front of the house is
All the way to the
behind the
back.
setback. right?
respect of the 20 feet of setback.
So does staff have a counter to that, or?
So then to memorialize that condition, we could have it say, except between parcel 1 and the existing parcel to the west, period.
Thank you, staff. And I'll pause for a moment. I think our Madam Secretary needs to make a comment before we formally close the public hearing.
Just for record, there is a resident here, but they do not wish to speak, and there are no other speakers, no other public comments for this item.
Thank you very much. So with that, we will officially close the public hearing. And let's see, does the applicant have any final remarks?
No, thank you.
Okay, very good. So the public hearing is now closed. So with that, I think I've walked through some of the refinements that I think are appropriate as part of this approval. And unless there's any new information, I think we would move forward to approve the parcel map as recommended with the modifications. Do we need to again speak any of the modifications in the record, or did we catch all of that?
Yeah, if it's all on record, we're good.
Very good.
Thank you.
Mhm. So, oh, I'm sorry, if I might, one more thing I wanted to mention, that on the plans here, there's a lot of details in the floor plans that are attached to the parcel map. And I'd like, for the record anyways, that there be just a mark on each of them as being conceptual. So there's not confusion that these are the approved plans. They're just conceptual that were used as working to process through the parcel map. And then there you have it. So, and one of the conditions, as you, I'm sure, have reviewed, talks in terms of that you cannot pull a permit until the map is final, but you can still submit for your site plan, your residential addition, right? Your new residential and your ADUs. So you can still get those in process. There's nothing holding you back from that, right?
We have already submitted.
Okay.
They're
So
already with staff.
if you're
I'll have to check on the.
okay. All right, so the good news is for you that there's nothing holding you back. You're moving forward, so we're happy to hear that for you, so that you can get things
Moving on.
moving along. Very good. Okay,
Thank you so much. Thank you.
okay. Is there any other procedural things that need to be done? Otherwise, at this point, as zoning administrator, I would recommend approval of deem it approval with conditions adjusted today. Yes, okay. Thanks, everyone, and thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. So we'll be getting something, what's the next
In
step?
writing?
I'll go for that.
Sorry.
The meeting is now formally adjourned.
Thank you.
Patience and coming back.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Okay, thank you. We look forward to seeing the beautiful residences in another year.
You will. Oh, less than a year.
Yeah,
We're ready to go.
The thing is, this type of properties, they, like he mentioned, they bring revenue to the city, and not only that, but it attracts also a higher level of tenants.
Yeah.
People that want to move
exciting.
into this property.
Yeah.
So they're bigger, they're
you got
nice.
us sold. We're good.
Yeah,
We're happy.
you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So
hopefully
it's a pleasure to see them get
Yeah.
it done.
It's exciting for the infill. It is. And then you'll be working with Ali on architecture for those, like that duplex. So what the duplex that you're adjusting, I'm not sure what staff will do, but typically there'll be some renovations to the front of that duplex. Yeah, to give it some life.